Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 107 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Project 4, Lab 4 is this chip clip, and we'll be looking at the chip clip today. This is a very useful assignment. We can look at different types of materials that we can print this with, but for right now, we're going to use the PLA. Al has color-coded things. Again, videos are in purple and CAD assignments are in green. So if we click on Lab 4, here's the dimensions for that. Remember, when you're working with 3D printers, they're metric based. And so as we look at the software for this, we want to be using the metric title block. And the metric title block is located under content and then title blocks. And you're going to want to use this MEC title block. But as I talk about this, we have this one set for you AutoCAD users so that when we go into the project, what I've done is I've created a drawing file called chip clip title block and chip clip image. And the way that you're going to use that is you're going to download the image and you're going to then open the title block because they're linked. It's called an external reference. And this is a great technique. This technique allows you to just trace over an existing design. So let me show you how that would work. The way that you would complete this assignment is you would download the chip clip image. And so you download that. And then you need to save as to a location where you're going to put the drawing file. And so you can see I have my desktop 2021 CAD 107. And then I have my chip clip image downloaded to this directory. So I'm not going to do it again, but if I did, I would have two of them there. And so you want to download that image, and then you want to download the title block to the same directory. And so as I download it, I'm going to do the same thing where I save it as, and I'm going to put it in the same directory. And so I'm going to put the chip clip title block there. I'm going to get rid of any name changes, and I'll save it. Then I'm going to open the file. And it tells me it's a student version, which is fine. We'll okay that. We'll say open. And if I have done this correctly, it will come in with the image. If it doesn't come in with the image, you have to go and use the XREF command. And then with the external reference, it will give you an error. It'll say file not found. And so you need to make sure that it's loaded. And that's it. Once it's loaded, you'll have the file to be able to trace over that. And what I've done is I've actually scaled it so that it's relatively close. So if I come into the drawing itself and I'm on the object line layer, this is just kind of a front view. This is how tall it's going to be. You really do most of the work in the top view. But if I were to go and just draw a line, and the way we'll work this is we just kind of trace over it. And you can see, yeah, 19.8, 20. So it's pretty close. And so this is a technique where you can bring in an image, scale it, and trace over it. And then you can get some really nice results with it. And so the idea behind creating this drawing is that you would go in and you would just recreate the geometry. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Now, you guys that are doing SolidWorks, great. You can make this super, super perfect. But as I go into it, it's one of those days where I'm going to come in here. You don't want snap-on. And so under tools, drafting settings, you don't need snap for this, but you do need OSnap because everything has to be endpoint to endpoint. And so what you'll do is you'll create this drawing of this part, and you can just kind of trace over it. I have a video of how to do that. Now, this is not going to be like, this is going to be one of those prototypes where if you're going to make it for production, yeah, we're going to make it so that these arcs are exactly the same. And those SolidWorks users know how to use parametrics, understand relations, and can work with those things. But ideally, what we're going to do is we're just going to trace over this project, and then we're going to press pull it or extrude it into a three-dimensional shape. And so you just need the top view, and then you need to be able to come in here, shift right mouse click, tangent, and then I'll just throw this line over here. I might as well just keep going with it since I'm on a roll. And this is a little close, so I'll just tweak it with the grips. That's what I like about working with AutoCAD, because you don't want these to be next to each other or they'll fuse together on the 3D printer. But this is sort of what I thought would be the best way to do this. And so as I went through and make these projects up for you guys, I want to introduce some technique for it. And then we'll come back here. You could use a polyline on this, and it's a good idea to soften up the radiuses at the corners because those tend to break. And I had a project, I woke up, I came in my office this morning and I had my light was out. And so the facilities guys came in and fixed my light, but they broke my 3D printing parts. They must have dropped it or something like that. And so I forgot where I was going with that, but anyway. And then we'll put an arc on this. Oh yeah, I was talking about softening up the radiuses because they're potential break points. And so if I put a fillet on these, and you'll get more experiences with radiusing these, but I'm just going to say radius. Yeah, we'll leave it at 15, whatever was in there. And then that kind of softens it up and it relieves some of the stress points that would accumulate at a sharp corner. And you could do that with these. I would probably put it at a lower threshold, and then I'll trim this out.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
What's a fillet?
A fillet is a radius between two object lines.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll call it a fillet.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Rounded off edges.
So here's what it will look like. And then what I would do is I would just copy it over to the side. I'd grab an isometric view, and then I would region it, okay? And so you have to come in here and region it. Press pull does this kind of automatically for you, but it's best to just do it the old way. And then if I hover over it, if I've done it right, didn't work, then I would have a solid object. And so let's try that again. Sometimes we have to go into the top view.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask, is there a reason you go into the isometric view before doing that? Because it seems like it might be easier to select things in the top view.
Just have it.
Okay.
So this isn't working. So I'm going to go with P-edit. And then I'm going to select one of these lines. And I'm going to turn it into one, and I'm going to join it. And I'm going to see where the break is. And so if I go through and I join everything, I think I can see it. I think it's right here. Yeah. And so as I can see where these breakpoints are, this is where CAD becomes sort of critical. And yeah, it's not perfect. It's got a little bit of a flex point there, but we're live right now. So P-edit, we'll just work with it. If you ever watch Emerald's He's on the morning cooking show.
Mhm.
He drops food all over the place all the time, and he just goes with it. I've kind of taken that same sort of approach. There we go. So the whole thing is highlighted, meaning it's been regioned. It's a closed shape. And then if I go to an isometric view, I can extrude it. And so I'm just going to type in EXT for extrude. I'll select the shape, hit enter. It's going to be one of those mornings. So it's like removing it. Let's try press pull. What do you think, Al? Must have
Double
some.
line. Double line. Give me a
Double-
top view, Joe.
Let's move it, copy it.
Type in boundaries, please. Select inside edge when it comes up.
So what he's going to do is he's going to create a new boundary for it. Doesn't want to do it. I'm going to say B poly. It's the same command. Doesn't seem to be showing me my command list or anything.
You have failed to communicate.
Anyway, I can explode it. I'm going to pause the video while I fix this. Resuming on the recording. So we had some error here with creating this into a region. So what I've done is I've switched over to a 3D workspace, and I'm going to use press pull. And press pull will create a region and then extrude that. And so I'm just going to extrude that 20 millimeters. And that's my chip clip now. And if I click on it, I right click, and I want to go with the properties. I was hoping I'd get quick properties. There we are, quick properties. What you need is a 3D solid to be able to print these. You can also brand these. And so what I would do is I would export this as an STL. So we're going to say export other file formats, and we're going to export it as an STL. And let's just keep everything in the same directory. I'm in my 2021 CAD 107 directory, and I'm going to put my initials on it. And I'm going to save it.
I was going to say, well, you make another directory in there, you know where it is.
Once I have that saved, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into 3D Builder. And I'm going to open that app, and I'm going to put my name on it. And so as you guys are starting to, work with these 3D printers, we're going to start to make sure that we know whose projects aren't getting picked up. So with that, I'm going to open this project. So I'm going to say open, and then I'm going to go and browse over, load object. Here it is. Here's my chip clip that I just made, 9/31 this morning. And there we are. And then what I'm going to do is I'll check import the model, and I click on the part, and I'll go to edit, emboss, and then I put my name on it. Wait a second.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a possibility we can take, or they can take an image from the internet that they'd like to, or a picture, and put that in there.
They can, but I don't know how to do that yet. So you guys that are looking to take it up a notch, and there's always students who figure this stuff out faster than I do. I've been teaching since the 90s, and I used to run vocational centers. If you guys want to go and work with that, that's terrific, and that would be the way to go. Look really cool, look neat on it, whatever. But right now, we just want to know whose projects are whose. And so I'm going to emboss it, green check mark, and then when I print it, I can print it, in this orientation as well. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to put it in the same directory. Now it's going to come in as a 3MF, and so I'm going to say Joe's clip chick, I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to go into my slicing software. Now I have Pura also, and we'll talk about that in our next video. I'm going to try to end this video in the next 5 minutes or less. And here's the build area for my 3D45. I can go ahead and open it. And so desktop 2021, CAD 107. And then here's my 3D object file. I'll open it. And there it is. I can click on it. I can move it around. Usually I'll print these more than one at a time on a palette. But this is good. Since I embossed it, and if I were to rotate it, I would have a lot of infill because it would infill everything. So this is the best orientation for that. And then as we look at it, I'm going to go with low quality, and I'm going to go with PLA. I'm going to slice it by hitting prepare. And I like the layers here. And then I can come in and take a look at it. I usually like to put a raft on these instead of a brim. So as we come down to build plate adhesion, I'm going to go with a raft. Raft is probably the best adhering. And we'll also add some more time. Let's try a brim. We'll talk about those today as well when we look at chapter 3. A brim looks perfect. It's going to stick to the plate quite well. 34 minutes to build it, and we're good to go. You can use the name here by clicking on that, and then we can download this and save it to a file. So I can save it, and then we'll put it in the 3D printer, and we'll run that. Let me grab a USB. Might as well do the whole video, guys. Once I put a USB into the computer slot, I can save it to the removable drive. I usually like to get rid of this D3. I think that means Dremel 3. And it's my file. I'll save it to the removable drive. I'll eject it. But before I eject it, remember, it makes a G-code file. So if I want to look at it, I can go to the File Explorer. And I can go and I can look at my Samsung drive. And I can look for the latest. And here it is as a Word file. And so here's the G-codes, G and M codes that are used to control the 3D printer. Once I have that done, what I'll do is I'll eject the part. And so I guess I should have ejected it, but I didn't. So I'm just going to take it out against the rules. But here we go. I'm going to stop screen sharing. I'm going to switch to camera 2. And then in the printer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the part. I'm going to grab a palette. On the palette, what I need to do is I need to put some build adhesion or some.
Like an orange glue.
Like a glue stick. Put that in my workspace. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the interface and I'll select build. I'll select USB, and then I'll find my file. I named it JC chiplet. There it is, JC chiplet. I don't know if you guys can see it. 34-minute build time. Build. It'll copy the file, and then it'll go through and calibrate the build plate. In other words, it'll have this little sensor up, and it'll touch off. I can see I have a little bit of filament. It's kind of like and while that's building, we're going to go and review, wrap up this video, and then we'll come back to it in our second video. So here it goes through and checks the plate leveling. And we'll talk about printer errors as we go on with the course, because that's really what this is about. Once you start printing, then you start wanting to print things better. And so right now we're just using single extrusion printing. It's going to go through to calibrate, and it's going to start printing. I'm going to go back to my screen share. Here's our slicing software. We're running 34 minutes. We have run it, and we emboss it with training. That's the main /h. We download it. Also, and then there's some initial videos for some. All right, we're going to end this video, and we're going to start. Please, make sure you also click on the business and hands, and you will need for a few questions from chapter 3. All right, we stop this video, and then we're going to